In 1918, as World War I was grinding to its bloody conclusion, a Mormon inventor from Utah named John Moses Browning was putting the finishing touches on a weapon that would outlive empires, survive technological revolutions, and remain relevant through over a century of warfare. Today, that weapon, the Browning M2.50 caliber machine gun, is still being manufactured, still being deployed, and still terrifying enemies on battlefields around the world. This is the story of Ma Deuce, the machine gun that simply refuses to die. John Moses Browning wasn't just any inventor. By 1918, he had already revolutionized firearms with designs like the 1911 pistol and the BAR. But the M2 would become his magnum opus, a weapon so perfectly engineered that it would transcend its original purpose. The M2 was born from a simple military request: create a heavy machine gun that could punch through aircraft armor and engage ground targets at long range. Browning's solution was elegant in its brutality: a .50 caliber beast that fired rounds the size of small cigars at 2,900 feet per second. But here's what made the M2 special. Browning didn't just design a gun, he designed a system. Every component was built to be robust, repairable, and replaceable. The gun's short recoil operation was so mechanically sound that it could function in desert sand, Arctic snow, and tropical humidity with minimal maintenance. When the M2 entered service in 1933, military planners thought they were getting a stopgap solution until something better came along. They had no idea they were adopting a weapon that would still be in frontline service nearly a century later. World War II was the M2's coming-of-age party, and it passed every test with flying colors. On the ground, it could stop vehicles, destroy fortifications, and suppress enemy positions at ranges exceeding a mile. In the air, it became the standard armament for American fighters and bombers. 6 M2s in the wings of a P-51 Mustang could shred enemy aircraft. But the M2's true genius wasn't just its firepower, it was its adaptability. Need an anti-aircraft gun? Mount it on a tripod. Want to arm a vehicle? Bolt it to a pintle. Planning an amphibious assault? The M2 worked just fine after being soaked in seawater. The gun's psychological impact was just as important as its physical capabilities. The distinctive sound of a .50 cal firing, that deep, rhythmic thumping, became synonymous with American firepower. Enemy soldiers learned to fear that sound, and American troops learned to love it. By the end of World War II, the M2 had earned its nickname Ma Deuce, a term of endearment that reflected both its maternal protection of American forces and its devastating effectiveness against anyone who threatened them. While other weapon systems became obsolete overnight, the M2 adapted and thrived through the Cold War. In Korea, it dominated ridgelines and mountain passes. In Vietnam, it turned river patrol boats into floating fortresses and gave helicopter door gunners the firepower to clear landing zones. The M2's design was so fundamentally sound that improvements were incremental rather than revolutionary. Better ammunition, improved mounts, and enhanced optics, but the core mechanism remained unchanged. Why fix what wasn't broken? The 1980s brought new challenges as warfare evolved toward precision strikes and high-tech solutions. Military analysts predicted that heavy machine guns would become obsolete, replaced by guided missiles and smart munitions. They were spectacularly wrong. The M2 proved that in warfare, there's no substitute for reliable, immediate firepower. While a missile might be more precise, an M2 could engage multiple targets, provide sustained fire, and most importantly, it was always ready when you needed it. The global war on terror showed the M2's continued relevance in asymmetric warfare. In Iraq and Afghanistan, Ma Deuce became the backbone of convoy security, base defense, and urban combat operations. Its ability to engage both personnel and vehicles made it invaluable in conflicts where enemies might be wearing suicide vests or driving car bombs. Modern technology has only enhanced the M2's capabilities. Thermal optics allowed 24-hour operation. Remote weapon systems let operators engage targets from protected positions. Advanced ammunition types give the gun capabilities Browning never imagined, from armor-piercing incendiary rounds to specialized anti-material projectiles. The M2 has also adapted to new platforms. It arms everything from Humvees to main battle tanks, from patrol boats to unmanned ground vehicles. Each new vehicle system needs a heavy machine gun, and the M2 continues to be the default choice. Perhaps most remarkably, the M2 has spawned an entire ecosystem of supporting equipment. Specialized mounts, ammunition handling systems, and maintenance tools have all evolved around the gun's consistent design. This infrastructure investment makes replacing the M2 not just technically challenging, but economically impractical. So why has the M2 survived, when countless other weapons have been retired? The answer lies in its fundamental design philosophy. First, mechanical simplicity. The M2 has no electronics to fail, no complex hydraulics to leak, and no delicate components to break. It's a mechanical system that works through precise engineering rather than technological complexity. Second, modularity. The M2 isn't just a gun, it's a weapons system that can be configured for dozens of different roles. This flexibility means that even as warfare changes, the M2 can adapt. Third, the ammunition. The 5Z caliber BMG round is a perfect balance of power and practicality. It's powerful enough to engage vehicles and structures, but not so powerful that it's impractical for infantry use. This Goldilocks capability means the M2 can handle an enormous range of targets. Finally, there's the network effect. With millions of M2s in service worldwide, the infrastructure for training, maintenance, and ammunition supply is enormous. Replacing the M2 would mean rebuilding this entire ecosystem. Today, over 105 years after its design, the Browning M2 remains in production. It's used by over 100 countries, mounted on thousands of different platforms, and continues to be the heavy machine gun of choice for forces worldwide. John Moses Browning died in 1926, just 8 years after creating his masterpiece. He never saw his gun dominate World War II, survive the Cold War, or adapt to modern warfare. But he built something that transcended its time, a weapon so perfectly engineered that it might truly be immortal. In an age of smart weapons and precision strikes, Deuce endures as a reminder that sometimes the best solution is the simplest one. The Browning M2 isn't just a machine gun, it's a testament to the power of getting the fundamentals right the first time. The question isn't whether the M2 will be replaced, it's whether anything could ever replace it.